All right, it says we're live. Welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us for our conversation series. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Amanda Devison. I am the Vice President of Business and Professional Women of Greater Moncton. So our mandate is really to help women connect, learn, grow, and advocate. So throughout COVID, we've been having this conversation series with a lot of incredible women throughout the Greater Moncton community, and we've talked about a variety of topics that are for and about women. And tonight is no exception. I'm very excited to have Dr. Alexis Keeling with me this evening, and her wonderful fur baby Kelly is also joining us as her emotional support animal. Kelly's already over it. So as always, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to post them in the comments below. If we don't get to them during the conversation, I'll make sure Lex gets them and she can either post afterwards in the comments or she'll get to them later on. Before we start our conversation, I'm going to introduce Dr. Keeling with her bio, and then we're just going to chit chat after that. So Dr. Alexis Keeling is the owner and optometrist at Dr. Alexis Keeling Optometry Clinic in CF Champlain Mall. She offers comprehensive eye exams and has clinical interest in dry eye treatment and specialty contact lenses. She's a former local school teacher who changed career path by merging her passion for optometry and teaching. Her clinic is in an accredited teaching site for fourth-year optometry interns from the University of Waterloo School of Optometry and Vision Science. She's an examiner and exam writer with the Optometry Examining Board of Canada, a counselor on the board of New Brunswick Association of Optometrists, the continuing education chair for the province, and sits on the events committee for the Greater Moncton Chamber of Commerce. She has published research on the topic of low vision and falls risk of hospital inpatients, 2016, and collaborated on publishing the Canadian Low Vision Guidelines for Practicing Optometrists 2020. As a former teacher, she enjoys public speaking and has presented various continuing education events on topics of contact lenses, eye diseases, and dry eye. Recent awards received for excellence in contact lens patient care in 2016 and the Greater Moncton Top 20 Under 40 in 2019. Locally, she's a member of BPW, Greater Moncton Chamber of Commerce, NYWWL. In her personal life, she's married and has a 2.5-year-old Chihuahua named Kelly. During her free time, she enjoys being outside gardening, hiking, snowshoeing, and brewing beer under the careful supervision of her husband, Kevin. So thank you, Dr. Keeling, or I'm going to have to call you Lex because it's going to be weird for me to call you Dr.
Yeah,
Keeling.
I know.
So thank you for joining us.
Thanks
very
for having
excited.
me.
I
I
have
know.
like a million things I want to talk to you about. So
Good.
Okay, so the first thing, and this could be in the wrong order, but we'll roll with it. So I need to know, as someone who's running a business and someone who is in healthcare and all up in somebody's eyeballs, what is that like in COVID?
In March 2020, it was really different than it is now. There were no masks, there were no plexiglass at all my pieces of equipment and the machines at the office. We always cleaned between every patient, but not to the extent that we do now. And I'm somebody who has pretty severe asthma since the age of 2. And I was really, really concerned during that time. So we went into lockdown for, as you know, a couple months. And during that time, our association actually was able to come up with a whole bunch of guidelines for us that we follow. And to be honest, it is annoying, but I actually like it better. And I don't know if I want to go back to the way it actually was before. I do have to be close to people. Not everybody has great breath, I don't even have to worry about that anymore. Everybody wears a mask. My slit lamp, I've had kids sneeze in my face at the slit lamp before. That's no longer an issue. Everyone's masked. Plus, there's even plexiglass at the slit lamp as well. The things that we have in place right now are wonderful. And in the profession of optometry, they really always should have been there. Anyway, it's something that, there's a lot that goes into it, and that had to go into it to have these new protocols in place, but it's really nice. Yeah.
Have you found like most people are cooperating? Like, have you had to deal with any ridiculous
No,
patients?
I haven't had any issue in that way, but I would say everyone comes in, the majority of people have a homemade mask. And homemade masks have a tendency to fall. And sometimes I get flashbacks to being in a classroom and disciplining people, because I have to say all day long, okay, pull that mask up above your nose, pull the mask up above your nose. And I've actually just recently, over the weekend, talked to some colleagues of mine, and they're using just regular surgical tape that you put a patch on your arm, or gauze or something like that. And they're just putting a little piece of tape across the bridge of the patient's nose to keep it in place. So I think that's something I'm going to invest in, because it keeps sliding down. And like I said, I'm still close, even though I have plexiglass. We have HEPA filter machines in the rooms, and we're really trying to do everything we can to keep it clean and keep everybody safe.
Is it a weirder dynamic for you being in the mall as well? Like, has that added any other stress or complexities or thoughts, or because you're in your own office, it doesn't really occur to you, or does that add anything?
I don't really think about it that much. We're pretty much a closed system. We even keep our door locked. So every patient has to knock. And when they come in, we ask them to use the hand sanitizer we hand to them. And we ask them the series of questions as well. And the nice thing about the mall is there's security guards that do rounds all the time. So even the patrons at the mall have to wear a mask and stuff. So
Okay.
yeah,
That's good.
no, it's nice and safe. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. So, switching gears again,
Sure.
like I said, may not be in order, but
Sure.
to go from teacher to optometrist,
Yeah.
not necessarily a regular career trajectory. So tell us about that. So when did you become a teacher? How long were you a teacher? When did you decide you wanted to change careers? All that stuff.
So I always wanted to be an optometrist, like always. I really needed a pair of glasses in my early teens, and my parents never wore glasses. And I was telling them, I think I'm having trouble seeing, I think, but they were kind of like, well, no, you're fine, take an Advil or something. So anyway, we kind of, as time went on, I think they realized, like, wow, she really needs those glasses. We were on the highway and I couldn't read a sign. I'm like, I'm not making this up. Like, I might be the first in the history of this family to need glasses, but I think you need to take me in. So I got those glasses, and it was absolutely life-changing. And so that kind of propelled me in that direction. I really wanted to help people and give them that same amazing experience of having my first set of eyes. And so I studied so hard all throughout high school. I did science at university. And in 2003, I applied for optometry school, but I didn't get in. There's only one English optometry school in Canada. And at that time, they were taking one New Brunswicker a year. And unfortunately, I wasn't the one they picked. So I thought, oh, all right, I need to, do something and get a job. And education was my number 2 choice. So I did an education degree, and I taught for around 7 years or so at like Sunnybrae Middle, Riverview Middle. I did half a year at a high school. I did, I also taught at UMBS at J. I did TAing there as well in physics. But during that time, I was dating Kevin, and Kevin really wanted to get married. And I was like, whoa, there's one more thing in this life I really want to try. I'm like, I don't know if I'll get it, but I want to give it one more kick at the can. So I stopped teaching. I went back. That's when I went to UMBSJ and did 2 years to redo science grades, because my marks had been 10 years old at that point. So I needed new marks. And they took me. They accepted me when I reapplied. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So what was that feeling like getting accepted, knowing that it's so competitive?
It was a really good feeling, but it really made sense, and it really made it worth it. And I think if I had been accepted back in 2003, I might not appreciate it the same way I do now, that I had to work so hard and really grow up in between, and yeah.
And so what was the experience like being in the optometry school?
It was fine. It was really a great experience. I lived close by. Kevin and I were married at the beginning of August, and a week later we moved to Ontario and I started optometry school. So it was a big transition, just with the move and everything going on. And, he left his job. I left teaching because we both had to move there and kind of start our new life kind of thing. Yeah, it was cool. It was a really good adventure. And like, we're really glad we did it. Yeah.
And how long is that program?
It was 4 years.
4 years?
Yeah.
And do you do like residencies and things like that?
We did in my last year, I did an externship in Florida, and I did some as well here in New Brunswick. Yeah.
Okay.
So
and how many people, I know you said they only take one from New Brunswick, but how many people do they take? How many are in the program, I guess?
It's a larger program now. And the year that I was accepted, there were 4 of us from New Brunswick. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you find that you take any, I guess, lessons or skills or whatever from your days in teaching? I know you talked about the masks and stuff, but like, were there skills that you're glad you gained through your teaching career that somehow have kind of, poured it over to optometry now?
Absolutely. I feel like anytime that you're talking to anybody, a patient, you're teaching them about their eyes and you're trying to explain, maybe like, for example, I treat a lot of people with dry eyes, and it's just a whole lesson on dry eyes. It's like, this is the kind of dry eye you have. These are the different things that I need you to do, and I even tell them, I'm giving you some homework. This is going to be your homework when you come back and see me. And just like a teacher, there's a quiz, there's going to be a test. And when you come back in, I'm going to know if you did these things in your homework, because I'm going to take a close up look at your eye with a microscope. So, you let them know what they need to do. You see them back, hold them accountable, and hopefully, they get better.
So what made you decide to like have your own clinic? Because that's another different avenue, right? You could always work for a company, or you could go out on your own path. So what made you kind of decide to do your own thing?
Well, I think it was all about timing. I had graduated, I had worked for a year at another clinic, and I really wanted to have an opportunity to kind of have a clinic with my own philosophies. I wanted to have I wanted it to be very contact lens oriented and dry eye based, and I wanted the flexibility to choose my own hours and to really challenge myself and learn more about having a business. And that's kind of scary when you want to start a business and you want to have a business, but you have zero education in that. Like, you have an MBA, you know about business.
Mm-hmm.
I just know about eyes, and it was so it was a challenge and it was scary. And I did a lot of reading, and my parents are in the healthcare field as well, and they have their own office. So I spoke with them, and I learned a lot from them about how to do payroll and HST, GST remittance, and all the things you do when you have a business where sorry, my mom's like texting me. Stop it, Mom. Okay, so
We're busy. We're busy right now.
Yeah, I know. I'm busy right now. So, yeah. So I had to learn it all. It was baptism by fire. It's like, yeah, I want my own business, and it's like, great, here you go. You're gonna do what you learned in school with optometry, and now you're gonna learn how to do all this business stuff on top of that. So it was a challenge, but it was fun. And starting up, I was just thrown into it. I didn't save up a lot of money for it. I had, a little bit. I spent probably half the money on a little Mac, computer, so that we could start there. My sister had just moved home. This is with the good timing. My sister had just moved home from Bermuda and was kind of between jobs and between schooling. And so she dedicated that whole year to help me. She was my office manager. She was my receptionist. She was my pre-tester. She was my roommate. She was like, we were together the entire year. We did everything. And starting a new business is hard. You know, we started with file number 1, patient number 1. We set up a phone number, and the first day the phone rang at the office that first week, we didn't know what to do. We're like, oh, the person probably dialed the wrong number.
They can't possibly be trying to call us.
What do you think it is? So my sister does this thing that she learned in you know, being a dental hygienist, you know, just working at a dental office. Always smile before you answer the phone. So we're both like smiling but really scared. And then she answered it and she said hello. And I was like, no, you have to say something like Dr. Keeling's office or something like that. Anyway, it was just the funnest year. And in a new business, you have to work hours you don't want to work. So we worked nearly every evening, nearly every single weekend. We'd be in there working so hard. And we just had so much fun. We did. Yeah.
So what was, I guess, because it was trial by fire and because you really had to learn everything,
Everything.
what was the biggest surprise? Or was there one, or was everything kind of a...
Everything was new. I don't think there were too many surprises, other than just because I had worked in a clinic for the year prior to that too. So I knew the regular flow of how the clinic should work. It was just a matter of establishing a business, you know, of any type. If you're in business, like, and you open cold, you need to get started somehow. And yeah. And you know, there was this one patient who kept not showing up for an appointment, and we call back and say, don't worry about it, come on in tomorrow. Okay. So we kept calling, and then the next thing we knew, we heard the patient's name on the radio had just robbed a bank, and we were like, don't call him back, don't call him. We'll wait for the next person. It was such an adventure. And my sister's in medical school now, but the day came when I had to hire somebody new. And you know, during the year, we just would get random resumes, which is fantastic. I hope people never stop doing that. And I had to choose someone for the job, for Kaylee's job. And that's a really hard position to fill. Not only was she, you know, my right-hand man, she's my sister. She did everything with the best intentions, as a sister would, as only your own family would. And so I was going through all these resumes, and because I'm at the mall, I would go over to Second Cup every day and get a coffee and come back. And I thought, you know what? The best person for this job is the girl who I see at Second Cup every single day. She knows everyone's name who comes up to that counter. She never stops smiling. I watch her. She can do 15 jobs at one time. She's never tardy. She works so hard. She's the sweetest thing. And so I walked up to her the next day and I said, you don't have to give me an answer, but I would love for you to work at my office because my sister's moving on, and you know, she's got other plans now. And she accepted. She was like, I would love that. So she's been with me ever since, and she's like a sister to me now. Yeah, we're really close.
And how long has your clinic been open now? How long have you been there now? It's been
I have been there since, a couple of years, 2017.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so do you feel more established now? Do things feel more like a routine and you have a patient base and kind of, do you feel like you're getting a bit of a rhythm, I guess?
Absolutely. Yeah. It really took that full year to really establish things and get everything started. So, yeah.
And were there any, are there any organizations or support systems that you found helpful that you think other people that if they're considering starting a business, maybe they should look into, or that you wish you knew about sooner, or any tricks on that front?
Absolutely. Like BPW was huge. I joined right away as soon as I started my own business. And that way I met tons of people. I learned about their businesses. I was able to network. And by networking, it was really just going to the events, talking with everyone, seeing how their businesses work too,
Mhm.
and meeting new friends. That's really how it works. And word of mouth is huge.
Yeah.
That's one of the number one ways that the business really was able to take off, was word of mouth. Yeah.
Mhm. So were there any moments of panic in your initial setup and opening, and like were there days where you're just like, oh my god, what did I get myself into? Like, did you question yourself? Did you ever have that little voice that kind of, you know, nod away at you to be like, was this the right
Is this
decision
a
to
good
do this?
idea?
Yeah.
um uh No, I don't think so, because in the back of my mind, I always thought it's going to come. People say it takes years for this to happen. And during that year, actually, I was also teaching at Bolton College with their optician program. So it wasn't the only thing I was doing. I had a second job too. And I've met probably some of the best friends who I have now were the other instructors there at Alton College, and the students who were there. I'm still in touch with, I would say, most of them. And, seeing their lives, learning about their lives now and helping them with references. And it was really, really a fantastic opportunity. Yeah, it's
I
a
think
great school with a great program.
I think it was a good point you kind of just made there too, is that, although you wanted to be an optometrist for a long time and yeah, you were doing your own business, it still took a lot of work, and you were working more than one job. Like that was your reality when you're starting from, like you
Yeah.
said, patient one, file one. Um, it's probably not going to, you're not going to be able to cover all your bills perhaps with just your straight up business. So was that
That's
tricky,
why
or
I
was it
hired my
okay?
sister.
It kept the payroll low.
Yeah, payroll expenses were very low. It was love.
Yeah,
And food.
just like thank you, just love and thank yous.
Yeah,
You know,
she lived with me too. I housed her.
so really, just
Yeah,
like really merging the budgets together.
yeah. And I also had to work evenings and weekends. I had to be available every second, and I'm happy for that. I'm glad that that's, how businesses work. You really pour your soul into it. Like it becomes so personal, and that's why it's hard for people, especially during these times where that we're being
Mm,
closed for no reason, or well, no reason. We're being closed right away quickly, and
yeah,
you might find out the
without
next day,
notice.
okay,
Yeah,
doors have to close. Okay, you can open up again, and it's scary, and it's, like I said, it's a business that's yours, and it's your whole life. Yeah.
yeah. And when you've invested time and energy in that, it is hard to be kind of at the whim of. Well, no one knew a pandemic was coming, so I mean, we're all kind of just flying by the seat of our pants. But I could see how, like you said, if especially in those early years where people set up, by the time they get to the point where that is their main source of income and they are able to pay their bills and they can pick their schedule, or they have a staff so that they can be open, like they don't have to necessarily be there, but their business is operating, it would be hard to all of a sudden not have that ability to just run your business as you
Yeah.
normally would, or suddenly now you're incurring all these extra costs for PPE and
Yeah.
all that, and supply chain issues and all kinds of crazy stuff. So, um, yeah, I can see like that would be. I know it's a big struggle. I know, again, all research keeps coming out, talks about how women are impacted greater than men. And I mean, just in general, for women-owned businesses, they tend to get less money, they get less funding, less support out there. So it's like, to start with so much less to begin with, and then to get hit the hardest with the pandemic, it's a struggle. So, um, is there anything, like any advice any reminders you give yourself, or any advice you have out there for people who may be having a rough go? Like, fortunately, like you're lucky in that you are a medical business. So, you're considered an essential service for the most part. And other than the initial lockdown where everybody was shut down,
Yeah.
you've been able to kind of continue to operate. But
Yeah.
do you have any like words you would want to share with people?
There are still options for small businesses if you have cut back on your hours. For example, we cut our hours way back during this last red phase. So Becca decided to cut her hours back. However, there's still government programs for her to be able to be paid, even though we weren't working as much.
Mhm.
So that's very helpful. Just find out what is offered for different grants for different business sizes, and you can still work, and there's even different hours. Like if you work less hours, you might be eligible for a certain amount or things
Right.
like that through the government. So don't give up, and look into your different options. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because no one wants your business to end.
No one.
No one does. No.
No.
So there are programs in place to help. Yeah.
Yeah, and there are a lot of there's provincial, there's federal, there's all kinds of different programs. So I guess ask as many questions as humanly possible to as many people as humanly possible, and figure out how you can kind of bridge yourself to the other side of this, because we're going to get there. Hopefully we're almost there. Like hopefully by the end of this year, most people will be vaccinated and it'll be a little more normal. And hopefully we'll be past the lockdown phases of this, as long as those variants don't get too wild, I guess. So in terms of owning a business, would you say there's pros and cons, and what would those be for you? Or were there anything that you thought would be good that wasn't so great, or
Yeah, definitely. When you own your own business, you have to be there, you have to be present, you have to represent it well for your patients. You have to be there for your staff. You can't be late with a payment for your staff, for your rent, for anything like that. And there's a lot of responsibilities. Whereas if you're just working at a business, those things they go on behind the scenes. You don't know how that really happens. So that was all new. The pros of that are that you have the flexibility. You can make your own decisions. And there's programs, like I said, like BPW, GMCC, the Greater Moncton Chamber of Commerce, is a wealth of information. There are unlimited resources for anyone in business for anything that you need. They were a godsend when I started my business. Their once a month little get-togethers, business after hours, was great to meet people. The first time Kaylee and I went, we were very overwhelmed, and we just stood in the corner. We didn't know who to talk to. We didn't know anyone. We looked so young. We were so scared. So we're like, all right, next time we go back, we need a game plan. Like, this is a networking event that's supposed to be fun. So we brought our little homemade business cards, because that's all we could bring. That's all we could afford to make. So we went with them. And we thought, okay, our goal is to meet one person. Like, if that's all we do, there's like so many people there. We're like, our goal is to meet one person and find out about their business, and maybe give them our business card, because we're kind of shy. And, you just take baby steps. It's all new. So we did. We went in, and that's what we did. And every month you'd go back, and you would just meet so many people who you knew from the month before. So you chat about what's new with them. And then we always said, okay, meet one new person. Because now we have like 5 friends here. Yeah. So then the next month we knew 6 friends. People. Yeah. And it just worked. And it was a good mindset, instead of thinking, oh my goodness, I'm in a room with like 50 people and I don't know them. And how do you do this? I didn't know anything about business. Maybe this is something they teach you in MBAs, but anyway, I didn't know. So that was our goal. Every month, meet one new person. And before you knew it, we would go and we would have so many friends to chat with, and it was good. It was really fun. Yeah.
I think I like what you said about, baby steps, number
Yeah.
one. And number two, just challenging yourself. And the realization that, yes, sometimes you're going to walk into a room full of these people and you don't know anybody and it's going to freak you out. And then, but like the fact that you guys kind of regrouped and said, okay, we're going to go next time and our goal is one new person.
One.
And same thing, don't expect it to be perfect. Like you said, bring your little homemade business cards. Like,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
believe, have that passion
Yeah.
and belief in yourself and your business, and just go with it, because that's what people are going to notice. They're not going to notice whether or not your business cards were printed at home or printed by who knows
Yeah.
whatever company. They're going to notice your energy and your excitement about your business. That's what they're going to remember. So don't wait to have the perfect business card, and don't wait until you have X number of customers or patients or whatever. Like, just go for it, and baby steps, bite off little bits, and just meet one new person every time. Because like you said, it is like, I do find that, so between BPW and the Chamber of Commerce, like, you will see people that are regulars, and there's people
Yes.
that
Yeah.
will chat with you and kind of help you feel more comfortable. And then usually, and then you'll always find those people that are kind of the social butterflies, that they'll then introduce you to someone else. Like, you may not even have to leave the spot you're standing in. You could stand there with your glass of wine, and someone you met the last time will come over
Yeah.
to ask how you're doing. And then someone that knows them comes over, and then all of a sudden you have a circle of people and you're chit
Yeah.
chatting. And so you don't have to feel like it has to be like a marathon and you have to meet everybody and you have to like go out there and shake everyone's hand and give everyone, well, now we're not shaking anybody's hands, but
No, not anymore.
maybe never again. Who knows?
Exactly.
Maybe we could just be like, you know what, that handshaking thing, we're over it. We'll just,
Yeah, we don't want to do that.
yeah, we're over it now.
Anyway, that was definitely, if you have a business, join those groups. Everybody's there just to be supportive of each other and to meet people and meet what different businesses are in town and what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah, and like you said, word of mouth is very powerful, and a lot of those things, that is how people, even if it's someone working for someone. So like when I started at the bank, same thing, I went to the chamber events, and that's when I joined BPW. And it was more even just a personal network, right? And it's not even
Yeah.
necessarily, for me, I don't own a business, so I wasn't necessarily prospecting. I just, no one knew me as a banker. It was my new career choice. And so it was a great way, so that if it came up in a conversation, people would be like, oh, I know someone that works at a bank, you should talk to Amanda. So, but it was more to have that support system of meeting people and finding out what they do. And same thing, like, I now have this huge network of people who do all kinds of things. And if somebody's looking for something, I can be like, oh, you should talk to, so-and-so, or, have you met so-and-so? And so it's really great that way. Like, Moncton,
Yeah.
still has that small town feel, even though we're, a larger population. It still is heavy referrals, word of mouth, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So if people know who you are and what you do, like, if they don't know you exist, then there's no way for them to point people in your direction. But yeah, no, I definitely say, like, those things are great. Hopefully we'll get to do those again soon. A lot of stuff again is virtual, but when we get to the other side of this thing, you know what I mean? People will be itching to get out and see people again, I think, and network.
I think so too. But you know what? I do not mind the virtual events, because you're at work all day and you're working so hard, and then sometimes on the Tuesday or the Wednesday night of the event, I think, oh my goodness, I don't know, I'm so tired, I'm so hungry, I just want to go home, put on some sweatpants, and I can. And I get home and I put it on my phone, and I love it. I sit there and I watch it, and
You
I
drink a glass of wine and just relax.
exactly, and I'm
Yes.
thinking, I'm taking it all in, I'm learning about whatever they're talking about that night, and it's a good experience. Yeah. So I mean, it's too bad we're not there in person, but I don't know.
But yeah,
Don't
it's
knock
not
the
it's not
virtual
all
yet.
terrible. Yes, yeah,
It's
exactly.
not all terrible. No.
No.
Yeah.
So kind of switching back to your business. So I
Sure.
know,
Yeah.
like, you talked about you had taught at Alton's, you used to be a teacher
Yeah.
as well in general. I know you bring in people from different programs and stuff. So what's that like, what made you decide you wanted to do that as well? Like, not everyone wants to take on someone in a learning capacity. And then kind of what's that like, and how often do you do it? How long do they stay at your business? What's your goal for them? Or do they
Yeah.
have certain goals
So,
that you help them with?
well, it depends on what program they're in. So we have people from fourth year optometry students from University of Waterloo, and their goal is to be with me for a semester, so about 3 or 4 months, and their job is to really to take over everything with me observing and making
Okay.
sure that they're doing everything correctly, that their diagnosis, their treatment, their recording is correct, that everything is smooth, they're educating the patient exactly the way they should. And I love it. I was a teacher, and it gives me that opportunity to be a teacher again with them. And it's the same concept with, that I do the Canadian board exams for optometry, and I also write the Canadian board questions as well. So it keeps me on my toes. It keeps me on the front line of what's going on in optometry. If there's any changes, if there's anything new for medication or the way we do techniques or anything like that. And the students are the ones who are fresh with all this knowledge as well. So not only am I teaching them, all right, you could be a little more efficient in this way. Like, let's go back, let's tell the patient again this part because you left out this and this, and and it gives me a chance to teach them, but they also teach me different things as well that are new,
Right.
and that are up and coming. For our optician students, they're heavily focused on the contact lens portion of my practice. So they do a lot of fittings, they do a lot of safety, teaching with the patients how to put them in, how to remove them, how to care for them, clean them, and the fit and the movement of the lenses, as well as making sure the vision is good as well. And nowadays they make contact lenses not just for distance but for reading, and you can mix the two together. So that gives another level of complexity to the lenses as well. And we also sometimes have MOA students from Oltons. They're the medical office administration, so they work with Becca out front. They learn about all the organization skills that it takes to make sure that the schedule is correct, making sure that the follow-up patients are called, and everything that goes into that part too. Faxes, letters,
office side of the clinic.
Exactly.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
And now our new job of cleaning is also important.
A very time-consuming, top of the list job.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and cleaning. Because my hands are like, the skin is falling.
Yeah, they're just like, I know I have like the giant bottle of moisturizer here.
Exactly.
And the cuticle oil and the whole thing.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm just at home. Like, you're running an office, so you're.
I wash my hands like 1,000 times a day. Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So in terms of professional influences, like, do you have any of those, or people you look up to? Did you have mentors, like, whether it was formal, informal, they knew it or not? Kind of what part?
Well, I would kind of say it would have to be my parents. They worked in healthcare, or they work in healthcare, and they never told me what to do for a job. They never said, we want you to do this, or we think you should do that. They just kind of lived their lives, and I watched, and I loved it. I thought it was a great life. They could take a week off here or there if they want it. When you're a teacher, you can't take a week off. I had a friend married in Mexico, and I couldn't take that week off, and so yeah, teaching is a great job, but it does lack a little bit of that flexibility that I really wanted. And so that's one thing. Another thing that helps, like I said earlier, is reading, and just looking at different books that I took some of them out. So, like, Leave Your Mark. We've got Girl Code.
Ooh.
Marketing Fundamentals. Like a whole bunch of different ones. Terry O'Reilly, he's on the radio, CBC. Hashtag Girl Boss.
Yes, I read that one.
I know. It's a popular one. It's good. And a whole bunch of other ones. But reading really helps. It really it lets me know that people have been through the same thing that I've been through, where you start a business and you have a vision, and you work really hard. And at the end of the day, it is not about me. It's about the patients. It's about your clients. It's about the experience that they have when they're with you at the office, and how can you make that experience the safest it can be right now with COVID, and 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 the most pleasant. And really, like, the reason I do this job is because I love people, and I love helping people and chatting with people, even if it's through a mask. And you know, I had a patient a couple of months ago who told me that I reminded her of the doctor. And I was like, it's me. I'm in here. I wear scrubs
You
with my
thought
name
you were
on
someone
it.
else and told you that that you reminded her of
Yeah,
of
yeah.
you?
She's like, you remind me
Wow.
so much of the doctor. I was like, it's me.
You're like,
Yeah.
I am
They're
the
like, my
doctor.
name is on my scrubs.
Wow, that's good.
Anyway, COVID
You have some pretty
has a
good stories.
hard
I have to
way.
say, if nothing
Yeah.
else, like owning a business does seem to generate some very interesting, hilarious stories.
Oh my goodness, it does. It does. Yeah.
So with your vision, did you find that you've had to change it as you've gone along, or has your vision overall stayed the same and you've tweaked the way to get there, or kind of how does that play out for you?
Well, the busier that we got, so we hired more people to make things easier. There was a point where I was just being stretched a little bit too thin. So I was pre-testing, cleaning, seeing the patient, seeing the patient out, and it wasn't working well. I wasn't spending the time that I needed to spend with the patient in the exam room. So we hired extra people, and they help with pretest. They do this whole cleaning regime that we're talking about. And that way it allows me to spend more time with people and chat with people, and really see what's going on, and just have a good time instead of being like all business. I get to be like, so, like, tell me more about this or tell me more about that. And that way I don't feel pressured to think, all right, I have to get back and clean that room, and I have to,
you can
so
actually
so it's
connect
really
with the
good.
patient instead of just
Exactly.
trying to get them through
Yeah.
the next process.
Yeah, exactly. And it's really all about the experience, and it's all about making sure that everyone's safe, everyone's healthy in their eyes, and that all their questions have been answered. So, yeah.
So when you're
So,
not working and doing running your business and everything, so what is it you like to do to relax? Like, what are things you do when you're on vacation or take time off? Like, what does that world look like outside of your optometry world?
I enjoy walking outside when it's not freezing cold, for sure. Spending time with my dog, and spending time with Kevin, my husband. And I used to like to travel before COVID. Not that I had to go anywhere very far, but now it's kind of, I can't even go to St. John to see my parents. So, that would be a nice trip in the near future. Just different things like meal prepping, making sure that you get a chance when you own a business and you see as lots of people and you have lots of interactions. It's important to take time for yourself more than anything. And I feel like I really need that just to reset. Like, I just need time to be alone, read a book, or take a bath. Lately there's been a lot of stress since COVID. I'm close to people. I'm trying to be as efficient as I can, and like I said, we've got the HEPA filter fans so that all this talking and counseling that we do makes sure that everything stays safe. And I feel like when I get home, I really need to just take my time and say, just relax, just
Yeah, for sure. It has to be there has to be that separation. So one good thing for you is that you still get to go to your office. Like, a lot of us now are stuck at home, and I know one of the things I struggled with at first is I didn't realize how powerful that transition time is. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't live far from where I work normally. I'm in Riverview, just across the bridge, and I work in Blue Cross normal times. So it's like a 6-minute drive. You know what I mean? It's not far. But just that time, just getting in the car, driving, turning the radio up really loud in the morning, like, parking the car and walking the few minutes to the branch, getting my tea and just starting my day like that. You don't realize how powerful that is. And it literally is kind of a transition. So now where it's like, I just get up, I get ready, and I go to another room in the house. I've had to like teach myself that. I've had to give myself a transition time. Like I have to
Yeah,
do like rituals to kind of like separate,
you
to be like,
do.
now it's
Yeah,
the end of work, right? Like, so
yeah,
I think those are super important. So if anybody's struggling with that, try to figure out what you can do to, whether it's,
yeah.
you know, not everyone has the luxury of necessarily even being able to work in a separate room, depending on what their house is. But if it's closing your laptop and putting it away every single day, like whatever it is, like you have to fit, maybe you go for a walk around the block, go check the mail, whatever it is, like you need to make sure you kind of insert that separation for yourself, because it is a weird time
It
um,
is.
on a normal day. So like then you
Yeah.
add on trying to work within that kind of weird environment. So
And I do a lot of reflecting as well. And I think it's because of my job. You know, you go back and you think about your day and you think about ways you can make it better. And you think
mhm,
about things that you can, you know, in this time, like how I can incorporate more into it. Like I said, we hired more people to help out with all hands
yes,
on deck because it was just too much as one person.
mhm,
And I'm glad
mhm,
I took that time and realized like we need help in here. You know, there's
yeah,
too much going on and I'm being stretched too thin. And I go to bed early. That's another trick. And I get up early. And I think that quiet time in the morning is the
mhm,
time that you can just have a coffee and the world is almost asleep. Like it feels like it's
yeah,
quiet, it's still outside, there's no sounds of cars. And I'm not talking like 3 a.m., but like even getting up at like 6 instead of 7, like
yeah,
that little hour gives you a chance to reflect and be like, today is going to be a great day. I'm going to meet some people I've never met before at work. It's going to be great. I'm going to, you know, improve their vision. We're going to get some people who had dry eyes feeling better. We're going to, you know,
mhm,
like it's going to be a good day. Find out what's new with everybody who works at the office, what's going on. Like one girl started a new company where she's making earrings.
oh, that's
Becca
cool,
is, she started that. So that's fun. And, you know, like it's important to really, in your business, you really have to, you know, care about everybody, see
mhm,
what everybody's doing. Yeah. And
yeah, and it
take
like,
that time.
like you
Yeah.
said, it's important to have that time so that you're not feeling like you're getting up and immediately going to work or feeling rushed to get there, that you have a moment
Yeah.
like to yourself, gather your thoughts, decide how your day is going to go, give yourself that mind frame, and then kind of go out, and then it's going to feel better. Like you said, you're just going to feel better about your day if you've set the, if you get
Yep.
up and you're just like rushed and feeling crappy, then that's going to chase you through the day. But if
Yeah.
you've taken that time to just kind of calmly and slowly start your day, then perhaps, you know, things can go a little smoother. So that's definitely a tidbit I recommend as well. So it's
Yeah.
finding that. So some people like, I'm not a super morning person. Like I'm not. I'm more a
You're
night
not.
owl. No, I'm not. I'm not a morning person. But you know, I have found that other times though, where if I do decide, same thing, if I get up at 6:30 instead of 7, that
Yeah.
it's somehow that 30 extra minutes feels almost like an hour and a half, 2 hours, because there's been mornings when I've done that. And then I get up, I get, you know, do some puttering around, maybe do a couple of
Yeah. It's
chores,
nice.
whatever. And then I
Yeah.
look at the clock and I'm like, oh my God, I still have like another 30 minutes before work starts. So it's like
Yeah.
somehow it kind of like stretches out. So I have seen
Yeah.
that for sure, but I do have to say that happens very
That really
infrequently for
helps
me.
me. I really find that helps with relaxation. And like I said, reflecting and just seeing like, you know, different ways that things can, that you think through your day, that you can set up your intentions for the day. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it happens more often in the summer. The sun comes up, it wakes me up a little more naturally. Like in the winter, I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm blankets up to my eyeballs until I physically have to get out of bed.
Yep.
um, okay, so random thing about, so talking about dry eyes and talking about optometry and things like that. So
Okay.
I know as we get into spring,
Yes.
allergies start, and a lot of symptoms can be similar to COVID symptoms. So there could be some panic there. So for people, but I mean, obviously, like I think most people that have allergies know they have allergies, but I just think in the weird world we're in, you know,
Yeah.
it kind of gives you that, freaks you out a little bit. So are there things people can do, like if they're have itchy, watery eyes, like, because the thing, we're not supposed to be touching our faces and all that fun stuff. So are
That's
there
right. Yeah.
tips and tricks you have for people who have allergies that may be coming into the spring season are going to start having a little bit
Yeah.
of
Yeah,
anxiety?
definitely. Um, so in the spring, when everything starts to pollinate and stuff, then we get a lot of people with itchy eyes. And what happens is they kind of almost, you're scratching them, or you're waking up in the morning and they're all swollen around and they're red, and people think you have pink eye, but you really don't. It's just so itchy. Really nice, cold, cool face cloth. Just take it, wring it out, close your eyes, and hold that against your closed eyes. Feels like heaven, and it'll kind of help get rid of a bit of that swelling. Some people take a Claritin or a Reactin antihistamine pill, but there are some amazing eye drops that you need a prescription for, and you put it right on your eye. And it's really nice if you leave them in your fridge. So you just take them out, give them a shake, and when you put them in, they're cold, and it makes your eyes feel like heaven. Really try not to scratch them. And I'm the first person to just want to dig right in there if I'm around a cat. Like, you've seen me. And,
Yeah.
so if you use the cold face cloth, it'll really get rid of that itchy feeling. But there are really nice eye drops for people for itchy allergy eyes, and they're safe. Some of them are even safe to use older than the age of 2 years old. Kids can have allergy eyes too. So there's some really great options. Right now, this is what I call dry eye season,
Right.
because
Yeah.
the heat is on in the house.
Yep.
Everybody's windows are closed. Everybody's watching TV or on their cell phone. And when you're doing that kind of thing, you don't blink. So you're just sitting there staring into like the screen, and they're just drying up and drying up. And people have different ways that their dry eyes affect them. Some people get to a point where they're so dry that they just start running, and they've got constant tearing.
I have
Or they
that in one
go,
eye.
yeah, some people have it in one eye. Yeah.
I have one eye that waters too much, and I have one eye that's dry. And
That's the other way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, we educate a lot of people at work about computer vision syndrome. So every 20 minutes of computer work or TV watching, take a 20-second break and look away, blink a few times, and then come on back to what you're doing. So set your cell phone to vibrate every 20 minutes, or if you have the radio on in the background or the TV on in the background, every time there's a commercial, tell yourself, all right, I need a break. I need to just look away, blink a few times, and then come on back. So that gives you some relief. Make sure you're drinking water. You can use an artificial tear. You're not going to get addicted to an artificial tear if you put one in, before you start the computer up or before you open your book to read,
Right. Yeah.
And
No,
make sure you have, good lighting if you're reading the newspaper. And
yeah, like I think that's a good thing to know. And two, same thing, like you said, if there's drops that people can get with a prescription, like maybe they want to start thinking about that now to kind of book an appointment with their optometrist to talk about that, so that as you get into that, hay fever season, that you're prepared. So then it might take a little bit of that anxiety away from you, even though I'm sure in the back of your mind, it's just your allergies. You're still going to have that little COVID voice. It's going to be like, but what if it's COVID?
Yeah.
You went to Costco. Like,
yeah, I know.
Did you touch everything? So like,
you wash your hands.
when you logically know, like, it's just same thing. Like, I'm someone that every time there's it's the winter, like I just have like a runny nose like all the time. But like in COVID, it's just been like paranoia. And even though I would have not gone anywhere for like weeks at a time, like literally hadn't left the house, I'd literally be like, but is it COVID? But like, it's not, but like, and it happens to me every year, like since I was a small child, but like for some reason, the dynamic we're in kind of gives you
it's
that.
a little different. Yeah.
Yeah. So control your controllables. So if you're someone with allergies, think about some of these different things you can incorporate into your life to just remove that extra anxiety.
The doubt. Yeah.
Yeah. We have a lot going on right now, even the psychological weight of COVID. I know even when we switch colors, it affects me when I don't think it does. Like when we first went to red, it was just like I was wide awake at 3 a.m, couldn't get back to sleep, and I was just like, why can't I sleep? And it's just one of those things. Like, we're all navigating this, so I think just think about those things you can control, and if you're someone with allergies, rather than being worried about is it allergies or is it COVID? Like maybe like do some of the things that you've recommended, whether it's the cold face cloth or try not to rub your eyes, and talk to your doctor about potential drops that may help you, things like that. Like just little things, I think.
Plan ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
For sure. So just plan ahead on those little things. So where can if the people want to learn more about you and your clinic, where can they
Yes.
find more about you?
We are located at CF Champlain, entrance 4. And people should know this. Any entrance you go to at the mall, there is a wheelchair button you can hit to open the doors. They also have one where your foot is. So you can kick it with your foot and the doors will open, just to let people know. So it is safe to enter.
So you don't have to even touch the door.
You
There you
don't
go.
even touch the doors. I don't. You just kick it with your foot, the door opens, and you're good to go in. And we're located beside Pearl Vision. We face H&M Men's department, and our phone number is 384-2020. And
you guys are on Facebook as well, yes?
we are on Facebook, yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. People can message you there, give you a call.
Yeah. And our email address is giftofsight.ca. So
awesome.
We're good to email people back within a day. Yep.
Awesome. Yeah. And so one other thing I wanted to add to, actually, where you were talking about taking the break to look away, there was this interesting article I read just about our breathing, because talk about breathing exercises. And there's this thing called email apnea, where you'll actually like hold your breath as well. So like if you're on your computer all day, you'll actually hold your breath and not even realize it. And it was kind of funny because some of my colleagues and I were talking about it. And it's like, if you have like a iWatch or a Fitbit,
yes,
it'll often tell you to breathe. And you'll be like, why is my watch telling me to breathe? It's because you actually aren't breathing. And so if you start to pay attention now, I've started to pay attention. I'll find myself like, I'll be right into whatever I'm doing and I'll realize I'm holding my breath. So
that's wild.
I know. Isn't that crazy? So like, not only do people not blink, but they're not breathing either. So
well, it's funny you should say that, because that's one of my relaxation techniques. You know, they always say like take a deep breath in and then exhale. But there's this new one that I do now where if you breathe in, hold your breath for a second, and then exhale really fast, it really makes you feel so much better. It almost like releases your shoulders. So I just like close my eyes, breathe in, hold my breath for a second or two, and breathe out really fast. And it really makes you feel better right away. If you're having a stressful day or if there's a lot on your mind, I was like, that's a good tip instead of the regular breathe in, breathe out.
Exactly. So there's been a lot of different things.
It's a little different than the apnea. Yeah.
Isn't that wild? It is wild to me. Like, but I challenge everybody to pay attention to that. Like it's kind of interesting. So if you're doing a lot of just staring at your screen, number one, take your breaks so you're blinking and all that stuff for your eyesight. So it adjusts because you're not just looking here, look away. And also just start paying attention to, like, if you find you're getting a lot of anxiety or stress or whatever, or your watch is telling you to breathe, it's probably because you're actually holding your breath. And so I've caught myself, like I said, I still haven't figured out how to undo it, but at least I'm more mindful of it, I guess, to give myself that break. But so do it for your breath and for your eyes, people.
Maybe when you remember to blink, you'll remember to breathe.
Yeah, remember to breathe. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Awesome. So is there anything else, any other words of wisdom you'd like to leave the wonderful people with this evening?
Yes, there is. Always follow your dreams, because my dream was to be an optometrist, and it's scary. I had a boyfriend who wanted to get married. I had an awesome job of being a teacher. And I said, I am going to follow my dreams. I'm leaving my job.
You're making your
maybe my relationship could have ended. Exactly. He could have said, no, don't go back to school. And if there's anything you want to do, you have one life, you have one chance. So go for it. Yeah.
Awesome. Those are awesome words.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It was an honor to have you this evening.
Thanks for having me.
Joining. And I appreciate it. And I appreciate everything you've had to say.
Excellent.
Lots of comments. I don't think there were any questions, but feel free to take a look afterwards. And if there's anything you want to comment on in the
Awesome.
thread, that would be awesome.
Great.
Thanks again. We'll see you at the
Thanks.
next BPW event, I'm sure, and have a great
Great.
evening, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.